Sunita Williams smiles, waves as she returns home after 286 days in space, almost 278 days longer than anticipated when they launched their SpaceX capsule. Parachuted into Gulf of Mexico within an hour, the astronauts were out of their capsule, waving and smiling at the cameras while being hustled away in stretchers for routine medical checks. The two expected to be gone just a week or so after launching on Boeing's new Starliner crew capsule on June 5. So many problems cropped up on the way to the space station that NASA eventually sent Starliner back empty and transferred the test pilots to SpaceX, pushing their homecoming into February. Their SpaceX capsule issues added another month's delay, but they are now safe on Earth. In fact, NDTV spoke to Sunita's sister-in-law, Falguni Pandya, who said she can't wait to reunite with Sunita, and her journey and resilience throughout her mission was nothing less than inspirational. Let's listen in.
It was full of anticipation. First of all, I want to thank all of you for following Sunny's journey and giving her love, blessings. All the viewers, thank you for keeping her in your mind and your hearts and your prayers. I think prayers work, and we are very happy all the 4 astronauts are back on Earth, safe with us. That moment was surreal. I think that's the only explanation I can give. And also there is, I personally felt a sense of gratitude to Bhagwan Ji, the universe, that everything went well. I am right now at the temple. I did not want to miss coming to the temple. It's night here, so before temple close, I came here. I am with the priest here as well. She will be reuniting with her husband, her mother, her sister. I think gradually she will be exposed to more people. There is a semi-quarantine situation, so slowly and slowly she will be exposed to the rest of the world. I am sure at the right time we will all celebrate together. We are also planning on going on vacations together. There will be a lot of family time coming up. And she's going to be the glue that's going to bring the family together also. Just give us a reason, all of us to be at the same place at the same time. We don't have exact dates, but she's definitely going to come to India soon. I hope this year. Prime Minister has very much asked her to come, and she feels India is, India is her father's ancestral land, and she's very connected to India. She feels the love from India and Indians, and I know she will come back. It's just a matter of timing and schedule and logistics.
And post-return, NASA lauded the mission and spoke about the future of astronauts and their health. Let's listen in.
And he spent 286 days in space, and they got to see 8 different visiting vehicles coming and going from the ISS. We stay really busy as we talk about all these vehicles coming and going from the station. Nick and Butch each conducted 1 spacewalk, and Sunny conducted 2. That actually gave Sunny the record for most time on spacewalks by a woman, and puts her 4th overall in terms of time outside doing spacewalks.
When they were operating in space and doing operations inside the various modules, their muscles weren't working as hard, their heart wasn't working as hard, and so there's a muscular and cardiovascular kind of reconditioning that has to happen, and so that's what's happening now. And then, there's a little bit of response coming back to 1G. In space, I could let this pin, release this pin, and it's going to stay right where it is. And in 1G, if I release the pin, it falls. And so there's a little bit of that the crew has to get back and learn the skills back here on Earth again. So.
And Sunita's cousin Dinesh Raval also spoke about Williams. And he celebrated her return and has wished her a good health as she has come back.
हम ये चाहते हैं कि सुनीता जल्द से जल्द अच्छी हो जाए और जल्द से जल्द वो भारत की यात्रा करे। भारत के वड़ा प्रधान भी चाहते हैं, मेरे ख्याल से वो भी हमारे कुटुंब पर बहुत प्रेम रखते हैं, तो हम उनके भी आभारी हैं कि आज हम भी उनके आभारी हैं। उनका इतना प्यार हमारा एक कुटुंब पर मिला है, वो बड़ी बात है। उन्हें चिट्ठी भी लिखकर सुनीता जी को बड़ा आश्वासन और टेका दिया है।
All right, let's also listen into what Elon Musk had to say on this entire mission. Let's listen in.
I'm only going to ask you one political question, just for clarification purposes only. I don't think this should really be a political night. I think this is,
right,
you know, a moment where the country should celebrate the fact that you were able to rescue them, that it happened successfully in spite of the difficulty, the challenges, and the danger. But I just want to clarify on the issue of whether or not you had offered to send this rocket to space to rescue these astronauts sooner to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I heard somebody earlier today say, in fact, that didn't happen when I believe it did.
No, we definitely offered to return the astronauts earlier. There's no question about that. The astronauts were only supposed to be there for 8 days, and they've been there for almost 10 months. So obviously that doesn't make any sense. SpaceX could have brought the astronauts back after a few months at most, and we made that offer to the Biden administration. It was rejected for political reasons, and that's just a fact.
All right, we also have our science editor Pallav Bagla's interview with Sunita Williams earlier. Let's listen to what she had to say.
Why do you eat samosas on the International Space Station?
I think my answer to a lot of things is why not? If you have the opportunity, take it. And I love samosas, and so I had asked for some special things that reminded me of home, and so one of those things was samosas.
Sunita also carried a copy of the Bhagavad Gita into space and now wants more Indian stuff in her space bunker. Any artifacts from India you are likely to carry up? Have you thought of something?
Something for my niece and nephew, who are both Indian. I'll probably bring something for them, some Indian toys, as well as probably another Ganesh, because Ganesh is my good luck charm.
And when you carry Ganesh, do you pray to him when you're in space? Are you religious about Ganesh?
I'm more of just a spiritual person. I just know he's there with me, guiding.
Sunita Williams has clocked more than 50 hours doing spacewalks. In a stay in space, she says she missed her pet dog more than her husband. If you had a choice, who would you take along on that mission, your dog or your husband?
Oh, wow, that's an interesting choice. My dog would age quicker, so I'm not sure that would be a good idea, but I might get into an argument with my husband, so I'm not sure. I'm still thinking about that.
But you miss your dog more on your space flights than your husband, is that right?
Well, yes and no. And I guess I like to argue, so I suppose I enjoy making that phone call to my husband, and so I can talk to him from space, from the International Space Station, and the dog you just can't actually talk to.
All right, to know more about this mission and what the future holds for astronauts and as far as space travel is concerned, we're joined by Srimati Keshan, founder and CEO, Space Kids of India, and Pranav Sharma, who's a space historian. And we're also joined by Pallav Bagla, who is our own science editor. Pallav, sir, to you first. You have spoken to Sunita Williams in the past. Of course, that interview certainly is a highlight as far as your career is concerned. But, take us through, her persona, because, whatever we've seen over the last several months while she's at the space station, of course, she's been smiling, she's been optimistic. So, according to you, what really stood out the most about this extended stay?
Well, the extended stay only showed a consummate professional that astronaut Sunita Williams is. All through her long stay, she never expressed displeasure or any kind of hurry to get back to Earth. Astronauts are trained to do stuff in space. She went up on a Boeing Starliner on a maiden flight. She knew the risks. The Starliner had a problem. From 8 days, the mission went to 8 weeks, then to 8 months, and then finally 286 days. This was a third visit to space, and she did very well. among the very few people who continued to say that she is not stranded, she is not abandoned, she is not lost. We continued to say that, and that is exactly what she showed when she came back. She said space was her second home, and she made sure that she did well. Readjusting to gravity will take some time, and next 48 hours, they would be keeping her in a kind of a quarantine. Then she would meet her family, and then she would get some time off. But NASA confirms that she will get back to getting the Boeing Starliner back on track, because they want a second spacecraft to go up and down in space, and they just can't rely on SpaceX as the only company to do that. So there are lots of jobs for her. Among them, she may also help India in its Gaganyaan program, is what she had told me then. More about how you experience zero gravity or microgravity. On the show, we have Srimati Kesan, one of the only few Indians or Indian women who have actually seen near zero gravity conditions. Why not, Ms. Kesan, you tell us about your experience on the zero gravity or microgravity mission? Can you hear me, Srimati Keswan? Can you hear me, Srimati Keswan?
Right. Srimati Keswan, are you able to hear Mr. Pallav?
No, while we wait for her, she is the only one who's taken, she went into an aircraft and experienced the microgravity conditions. So that is her experience with microgravity. Other than astronaut Rakesh Sharma, and in India, she is probably the only one who's experienced that. We would love to hear from her. But going forward, there's a lot of work for astronaut Sunita Williams, Butch Wilmore, Nick Hague, and I am looking forward to getting our own astronaut Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla onto the space capsule Falcon 9 rocket on the Axiom 4 mission, which is coming up in a few months.
Right. Thank you, Pallav sir, for getting us that. In fact, we will try and get that question to Srimati Kesan. Srimati Kesan, if you can hear us, Pallav sir was asking about your zero gravity experience. And also, I'd like to understand from you, before we get to future of space travel and mission problems, as Pallav had been pointing out, what next for the astronauts? Of course, extended period in microgravity can have various effects on human body. So what measures will be implemented to monitor their health in the days to come? And of course, your experience as far as zero gravity is concerned, as Pallav had been asking.
Thank you, Pallavaji. Good morning to everybody. I think it's a beautiful day that we all have met here. And thank you for remembering about my zero gravity flight. Truly means a lot because whenever I get to see astronauts, I know it's a very, very small thing that, when compared to the training and the hardships that they go through before they actually embark on, such missions. But still, I think for a lay person, a common man, flying in a zero gravity, and that too with alongside a moonwalker who stepped on the moon, Charlie Duke, was something outstanding and an ecstatic feel, I have to say. Feeling that a little bit of zero G was again such a brilliant thing, because when you sit in the centrifuge, you've heard stories about how astronauts feel, they throw up, they puke and everything. But when I traveled in this zero G flight, I could feel a very little bit of the impact, and that itself was creating nausea and all that. But the thrill of holding the national flag and doing Bharatnatyam in zero G was something out of the world that I will cherish forever. Well, now coming to the next question of yours about what next for the astronauts, I think it is rehabilitation and, the health parameters that they need to take care of. But knowing the astronauts, I think after maybe a day or two, they're going to say, when is our next mission? When are we got to go back to space? So I'm sure that's what they're going to be saying, because space is such a magnet that attracts people with passion. And, this 9-month stay, a year stay and all is not going to pull them behind or, demotivate them that they've not come back on the set time and in the said spaceship or space capsule, but rather it is going to push them hard to do more. And in fact, Sunita Williams has been so lucky to do the spacewalks. I mean, that is incredible. Not every astronaut who flies to the ISS gets that opportunity. So she is very, very lucky, I would say. And we are all extremely proud. And being the woman fraternity, I feel even more proud that she is an icon for everybody, a source of inspiration for the younger generation to not talk about trivial things as challenges. For a person who thought was going there for 9 days and being there for 9 months, such a huge challenge that is. But she was always on social media. She was always answering questions of students. She was performing the spacewalk. She was, running the experiments. So what a grit, and what a passionate woman. So I think these are the things that we have to take back from her. And good luck to her. I'm sure she's very, very strong mentally, because most of the astronauts, they say, sometimes they get a little disillusioned and, they have some mental issues. But I'm sure she is such a strong woman, and she is only going to spread more positivity and spread all that she has learned there.
Absolutely. Thank you, ma'am, for that. Of course, her resilience and grit, as you said, is nothing less than inspiring and incredible. But let's also go across to Pranav Sharma. Mr. Pranav, my question really is, what lessons has NASA learned from the mission regarding, say, contingency planning, spacecraft reliability, particularly concerning commercial partners like Boeing? What lessons have they learned from the mission that will perhaps influence future missions involving commercial partners?
Yeah, so there are a couple of things that this mission has led us to understand, not only in context with NASA, but also for other space programs, including the Indian ones and other enterprising, innovative space programs, is one that for an extended human space flight program, one need to understand that you need to have several stages and several backups in those several stages when you're planning a long-term, long-duration space flight. And their extended stay will actually help us understand how human physiology actually behaves in these kind of extreme environments, include what kind of microgravity effects does it have, how the cells, the body cells behave in presence of extreme pressures, how stress and fatigue of long space flights, what kind of effects does it have on mind and body, or DNA structures when radiation exposure is there. The other thing, as you rightly mentioned, that when the Starliner coolant leak happened, and the interesting thing is that the Soyuz coolant leak has happened a couple of years ago also. So all of these things help us understand that you cannot rely on one form of technology. You need different forms and several contingency plans and emergency preparedness procedures for future missions. The other interesting thing that I think that we have learned is that there is a need for refining and reevaluating our operational procedures, in the sense that how communication protocols will work, what kind of logistical planning is required for deep space exploration, what kind of planning and protocols are required for long-term space flights. Technology validations have come very handy with this mission, especially which would play an important role in our lunar and Martian missions, so to speak. The two interesting things that I would certainly say that have been reinstated in public consciousness during this mission, and especially with the rescue mission, is that one, international cooperation needs to be reinstated. International cooperation is required because technological advancements are decentralized. It's not concentrated in one particular demographic of the world. And because of these decentralization, it is important that that technology gets shared for common human benefit. And by opening the market for commercial flights, space has opened for transparency and accountability. And certain kind of healthy competition has actually led to more innovation than ever before.
All right, thank you, Pranav Sharma, for those insights. We'll also go across to Srimati Keshan. Srimati Keshan, you were speaking about your experience, but despite these challenges, you know, what really struck was the astronauts maintained professionalism, you know, an optimistic attitude there, and supported all of NASA's decisions. So how are astronauts really trained to handle unexpected mission changes, and what are some of the personal qualities that are essential in such situations?
That's a brilliant question, Radhika. I was fortunate enough to see a bit of a training of these astronauts both in Russia as well as in NASA. You know, they are trained wholesome. It is not only the physical training and mental training. There is something called training to be a human being, because space is to do with humanity, and these are things that are not trained for. It is values that are imbibed from within, and these are things that are taken note of when they have series of interviews before selecting the candidates. So they are thrown into a different situations, and whatever the astronauts' answers are. So based on all these parameters only, an astronaut is considered to travel, because they are confined to a specific place where they have to share space with not only their own countrymen, but also from astronauts from different places or cosmonauts from different countries. So interpersonal relationship and all do matter here, and it is to do with a lot of emotional emotional values, how they support each other, because the duration is not generally very small. Sometimes the duration extends, like how it is for Sunita Williams, but it is a planned duration also. Sometimes they have to, just like crew 10, they're going to be there for another 6 months. So when they're there for 6 months, it is collective work. They need to be a team player. So when all this needs to happen, it is more than physical, psychological. There needs to be something very, very emotional attachment to each other, how they support each other. So that is where, however professional you are, you need to be that human being to actually work on such missions, because you are going to be a representative for the entire nation. You are going to be a role model for generations together.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Also, let me go to Pranav Sharma. Pranav Sharma, as Srimati Keshan had been pointing out, it's important to be a human, it's important to be positive, during such challenging situations. But, as far as, NASA is concerned, how do you think, as far as the communication between NASA and Boeing is concerned, how did NASA and Boeing sort of communicate updates about the mission delays? The astronauts returned to Earth aboard a SpaceX Dragon capsule after issues with the Starliner. So how does NASA assess and decide on alternative return vehicles in such scenarios?
See, when the mission got delayed, it delayed because of coolant leak. There was technical issues in the Boeing Starliner. And SpaceX has already mentioned to NASA that they have the technology, they have the bandwidth and wherewithal to bring back the astronauts actually much before than the decision that was made. But the thing is, they have to evaluate that, what incidents has occurred, how it has responded, And once it was decided that the Starliner is not capable of bringing these people home, then it flew back without the astronauts. And it is a joint technical assessment. It is neither decided by NASA nor by Boeing alone. It is a joint exercise. The scientists involved, they have to do a complete analysis. And the highest priority is crew safety. If the crew safety is compromised even for a bit, then there's no way that a particular technology will be used for any sort of mission, be it going up, be it coming down. Then they plan out on, what are the alternates that are available. It's SpaceX Crew Dragon, then there's Soyuz has already shown some coolant leaks before the Starliner was used. So in 22, 23, if I'm not wrong. And then Crew Dragon was identified that it is operational, it is tested, it is reliable, and then it became available as a backup spacecraft. Now the question is that does it qualify the risk assessment? Does it qualify the mitigation strategies? So all of those things come in handy when you're deciding internally with stakeholders. Not only NASA alone would do it. No, NASA will have to bring in Roscosmos on board, which is the Russian space agency. You need to bring in a lot of multilateral variables to understand and decide. And because this something like this has immense impact on public consciousness. So, and the accountability factor is extremely high. So you need to be very precise and sure of what you're basically trying to do. And then NASA came up with
I'd
these.
also like to go back to Pallav Bhagla. Thank you, Mr. Pranav Sharma, for those very important details there as far as the mission is concerned. Pallav sir, you've been following this mission for the last 9 months, what was supposed to be for a week, extended for 9 months. But any moments during the mission when you thought situation could take a turn for the worse?
Not at all. Not at all. See, the International Space Station is the safest place in space. It's the upward journey and the downward journey which is more risky and more critical. So when astronaut Sunita Williams went into the International Space Station, she was in a very safe environment. On the return journey, it was treacherous, it was risky. Now she's back on Earth. So both the risky parts were done. The extensions which happened in space were professional decisions taken by NASA, just that you had two experienced astronauts available at the International Space Station, both willing to continue and extend their stay in space. What we see is a lot of politics being played out between the Republicans and the Democrats. The assertions which are being made by President Donald Trump and his very special buddy Elon Musk are assertions that they had made an offer. Nobody in NASA has till date confirmed that a firm offer was made to them, and they have constantly said the President of America logs into NASA, but they made all the professional decisions of getting the extended stay till now. So SpaceX Crew Dragon did a good job in getting the Falcon 9 Crew Dragon doing wonderful space missions, and that Sunita Williams is back and created history because she and Butch Wilmore are the only astronauts who have used two spacecrafts, a different spacecraft to go up and a different one to come down. So that is very critical. But these assertions by the Republicans are assertions, and this is sheer politics being played out, and we've seen a lot of that politics happening, and this is typical of at that level. But that they're bringing in space, and Ms. Kaysen also mentioned that that they're bringing space into this tutu meme between the two big parties is a little annoying for many professionals, and I don't think NASA took a decision based on any other aspect other than safety and security and doing good science and technology at the International Space Station. You saw astronaut Sunita Williams when she went into space. When she entered, she did a dance. When she came back, she smiled and waved. Did you notice any kind of fear or any kind of remorse on her face? No. She's a consummate professional, did a job, and came back. And she remains a worthy and a good daughter of India.
That